In this video lesson, we'll discuss white settlers and the settlement on the Great Plains and the effort of the U.S. government to assist in settlement. Railroads are going to open the West. By the 1860s, the railroad companies began a race to lay track. The Central Pacific Company moved eastward from Sacramento, while the Union Pacific Company moved westward from Omaha. Both would meet in Utah in 1869, which can be seen here in the picture as the two tracks met. Civil War veterans, Irish and Chinese immigrants, African Americans, and Mexican Americans did most of the grueling labor to make this possible. The government will begin to support settlement of the West as well, first by passage of the Homestead Act, which is passed in 1862. This offered 160 acres of free land to any citizen or intended citizen who was the head of the household. Exodusters were African Americans who moved from the post-Reconstruction South to Kansas in an effort to own their own land. In less than one day, settlers claimed 2 million acres in one massive land rush. Because some settlers claimed land sooner than they were supposed to, Oklahoma came to be known as the Sooner State. And in 1872, the government created Yellowstone in Wyoming. Frontier settlers faced extreme hardships such as droughts, floods, fires, blizzards, locust plagues, and occasional raids by outlaws and Native Americans. Some of them lived in something called a soddy, which was a home built of blocks of prairie turf, which can be seen here in the picture. You can see that the house itself is the outside of it is actually made of sod. Additional acts were passed by the U.S. government to help farmers and people who were settling on the Great Plains region. The Morrill Act of 1862 and 1890 gave federal land to the states to help finance agricultural colleges that would help farmers learn how to grow and plant their crops more efficiently. The Hatch Act in 1887 established agricultural experiment stations to inform farmers of new developments and in turn increase their efficiency. Farmers were often in debt because it was difficult to farm in the Great Plains region. Bonanza farms were created, and a bonanza farm was an enormous farm on which a single crop is grown, very similar to plantations. These were created by railroad companies and investors. They would fold into bankruptcy eventually and were very, very short-lived because they weren't very profitable. Part of the reason they weren't profitable was because the high cost of shipping grain caused the farmers to increase their debt. A bonanza farm can be seen here in the picture. In the next section, we'll continue to discuss bonanza farms, and we'll talk about the farmers and their struggle with debt and their creation of the populist movement.